Toot, toot, baby, it's time to ride the funk train. Oh, you caught me with my pants down. You caught me with my funk down, baby. I got some brand new. These are too glareful. This is funktastic, but it's too glary. Anyway, it's Funkmaster V and Silverback. We're not going to sit here and talk like a couple of a-holes like we normally do. We got a guest today. It's our first guest. This is like, I feel like this, I think, we got some reverb. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, hold on a second. It's on my end.
Is it on your end?
Yeah, say something nice to the people.
Yeah, so we managed to get a guest, believe it or not. And it's somebody that I really I enjoy his games quite a bit. I have them all right here, so maybe you got an idea of who we're bringing on. It's our there, you got it.
I got it. I've been doing podcasts and bullcrap for all these years. I'm still a moron when it comes to this stuff. But yeah, without further ado, I mean, we'll just if we can overcome what just happened, if we can believe in the Lord, if we can love the funk, if we pray a special pray, we can make this almost as good as a 0 point or what is it called? The zero
page homebrew.
We can maybe be a 0-page homebrew.
You're setting the bar awfully high.
I know. I don't have enough felines running around and crapping everywhere, but we're gonna try. My friend and yours, Todd, aka Revontuli, the programmer extraordinaire, the genius behind the Dragon trilogy. Thank you for coming on this cockamamie thing tonight.
Thank you. Awesome to be here.
Oh, beautiful. Now, I told John that we met each other a few years ago, and it was a convention where your wife was, I accidentally touched her breasts, and you tried to stab me, and we had to bury that immediately. And John, I was just making that shit up. I've never met Todd in my life. So, because
he had me scared.
Silverback was like, what? What are we going to do? So anyway, no, I've never met Todd before. But I do have a surprise for you. I have a friend, Revontuli, right here. The Dragon of Storms is here. That's the one I always use. So we're going to, if you're watching this crap, we're going to do John beat your game. I cannot beat it.
Twice.
The only way I can beat it is with a hammer. But I got it rolling in the background here. It's a very tough shoot 'em up. It's your last of the Dragon trilogy. Where did you come up with the crazy idea to do? And I love this. I think it's one of the most unique ideas anybody's had in the homebrew world. 3 similar storylines and 3 different genres. Where did you come up with that idea?
I think part of it was, especially when I got into the 7800, I kind of started homebrew on the 2600, kind of cut my teeth there, and also realized there's only so much you can do. And then a lot of good tools and stuff were existing for the 7800, and I can kind of put a lot of stuff from one onto the other and just make more of it. I don't have to worry about running out of tech, running out of memory. But I looked in the 7800, I mean, is actually a pretty interesting machine, but doesn't have a lot of games, and it lacks a lot of games that you'd think it should have. Again, Dragon's Descent I made as a little roguelike where you kind of explored things, and that was really more a 2600 game that I then put on there. But then kind of wanted the theme, I like dragons. Apparently hedgehogs and plumbers were taken. Those were my first ideas, but then I don't know. I don't want some obscure like franchise making, getting confused about this. So and yeah, like with dragons, everybody kind of knows what a dragon is, but nobody really can decide on what exactly they are. So I can say like, oh, a dragon has feathers, a dragon has a title, all dragons are named Phil, and it's not that hard of a sell. You have a lot of.
A dragon has a beef with one made out of fire, apparently. Like the snowy dragon and the fire dragon don't like each other. No, it's a great. If nobody's played it, it's on the Atari 7800. I think you have a couple of those games on the 20. I know you have Dragon Descent on the 2600, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any of the others?
Not on the 2600 yet. I've been tempted to go back to it. I've been looking at a couple different platforms, but I gotten comfortable on the 7800. Like the Dragon's Cache, I was kind of the first one released, but kind of the second one I had made. I was looking like the 1600 needs a puzzle drop game. Like it needs, I was playing Columns and Puyo Puyo with my friends on a, pretty much every other system. And like, there's no reason the 1700 couldn't have one. It'd be great for it. So I decided I'll make a 2-player puzzle drop game. Kind of start as a straight. It was one of the things I generally don't do usually do like straight ports, but I was like, I'll do Columns. I like Columns, Well, and then I try to add my little spin on it.
Let's stop you right there. What do you think about what's going on now, where the guys who are doing these wonderful ports are now going to have to figure out new ways to get them out to the masses? And to be honest, I appreciate the ports. As good as Popeye is, I've played Popeye a million times. So I always like when you guys come up with original ideas, and it's like, whew, your trilogy was saved. It's not like you did a Columns and a adventure, and then you did a R-type rip off or whatever, or a port. You did your own thing, so these things can be out and enjoyed the way they're supposed to, in my opinion, on physical release. What do you guys think? What do you think about now? It's going to make you guys probably scratch your head more and come up with your own ideas more often.
Yeah, I mean, I came in kind of, I like to speak like either making my own games or doing enough of a spin on an original game so it's not a straight port. Like the Dragon's Capture is almost a one-off of like, okay, what is it like if I try to do a straight port? And even then I couldn't really do it. I couldn't commit. I made like the versus mode. I added a couple different modes, and I kind of wanted to make it mine, just a little bit even there. And it's funny because porting is almost a different art and discipline than like making your own game. I mean, you're going to have people who are very like, no, that pixel on Popeye's nose is not the right one. And you have to go back and you have to dissect what the game is. And it's fascinating looking through some of the development logs on how they did it. But yeah, I mean, and some incredibly talented people behind it. But I mean, again, it's one of these things where, another reason I don't do it, it's not the biggest reason, but it's certainly a reason, is, if I do port a game that has a trademark character, at any given instant, I could have a lawyer sending a cease and desist. And I mean, okay,
we've speculated on that, and we think at the very minimum that probably happened with something that just got released in the Atari Age store, and Albert was like, screw it. The other spectrum that we've heard is that Atari and Atari Age may start merging because there's starting to be some homebrews show up on the Atari VCS store. Nobody knows. And the thing that John pointed out, look at this guy over here. This guy's a genius. The guy that he figured out, he was like, all of the Atari ports, like Asteroids Deluxe and things like that, they're still in the store. So what's that about? So it's like, the plot thickens. Okay. So it's like they got permission. So I'm not sure. Is Adventure 2? Did you see that, John? Is Adventure 2 from the Atari 5200? Is that in there?
Oh, I don't pay attention to 52.
Oh, you're gonna get your journalism license revoked here.
Right. Well, I can tell you here in a second.
Oh, you're good.
It's still up.
Now, Dragon's Cash is very similar to Columns. Even the music is similar to Columns. It's a very good game, and but to me, Dragon's Descent, and I think I talked to you back when you released this. This kind of came out during COVID, at least the ROM did, and I had this Atari double stick gimmick that I bought from Micro Center. And I swear to God, man, when it was wintertime and nobody could go anywhere, I played Dragon Descent like a mofo, man, like it was going out of style. I beat the hell out of it. I played it. I changed all the modes, and there's tons of interesting things you can do with Dragon's Descent. It's an adventure type game. It's unique in a lot of ways. You can't shoot up and down, but that kind of makes it, part of the charm of it. And there's some pretty good boss battles and stuff like that. But the amazing thing is, there's so many things you packed into that, like random mazes, and you touch the wall, you fry yourself, that type of thing. Different ways to power up your dragon. Do you want to become more powerful? Do you want to have more defense? All that stuff. I mean, there's a lot to that game. It's a simple game, but yet there's a lot of fisticuffs in that one. It's a lot of fun. So, and that was a port of your 2600 version. I don't know if that's or an adaptation.
that was, and it was kind of meant to be almost, I mean, I'd been fiddling around with the 2600 a bit, and I kind of wanted to make a desert island game. Like, you know, if you're stuck on a desert island with an Atari and one cartridge, like I wanted something with legs. I mean, Adventure is an amazing game, but after a while, people play it blindfolded. You know, there's a little random element like in the you know, in some of the settings, but a lot of games are great. But then you kind of get to the point where like, yeah, you know, every single corner, every single little trick. And I mean, you know, Dragon's Descent to be one where you can't really do that. I mean, like a roguelike, you know,
it's random.
Make it so there's a different setup each time, and you can have strategies that help you. You know, you can't just cover your eyes and just, you know, play through and know exactly where things are. And you know, it can throw you curveballs.
Well, the thing about me and Silverback, and this is probably why we found each other after all these years, is we're technically idiotic. We'll never have a game that comes out as the Big and Funky Productions presents Street Fighter 6 on the Atari 7800. We'll never do that. And I still think inside of these things there's like little elves and pulleys and like little I'm not sure how any of this stuff works. Most of the people in the scene are programmers who are fascinated with the 650, because the thing about the 7800 is it was never tapped. Like the potential of the machine was never tapped.
Right.
And I think it's what all the enthusiasts and everybody was like, this thing is awesome. I was playing the Tower Toppler this morning, and the parallax scrolling and everything going on at once. It's just amazing. And it was like, and then the next game came out was cracked. You know, it was just like, this game is a hot mess. But so with Dragon's Descent, is there like, did you program 10,000 mazes, or is it random?
It's weighted random. There's ways you can kind of take a random thing and kind of correct it and kind of border collie it to do, you know, or like a bonsai tree, you can kind of control the chaos a little bit. And that was, some of my studies, I've done some programming work, but a lot of the stuff I like doing as a hobby is looking at that. Like, you know, you might have heard like procedural content generation as a buzzword kicked around. And people are doing on these giant, you know, taking like modern day machines with GPUs that can simulate cities. And I'm like, okay, but like, what about a 16 kilobyte cartridge? You know, what about a cartridge that's smaller than the notes I have right now for the interview? You know, I think I could probably make something with that.
So, okay, that's interesting. So, like, No Man's Sky is a procedural-based game. Everybody knows about that. So, Dragon's Descent, in a way, is the same. It's a procedural.
It has the same idea where you can kind of take, like, simple numbers or some basic initial seeds or little parameters and have it grow into something. And so, like, the mazes I kind of have, I've weighted them so that, like, every maze has a treasure, has an exit, has a key. But you're not exactly sure where it's going to be, and I weight things so like the deeper in the maze you get, the more powerful the monsters get, things like that.
That's cool.
And you'll see certain room types from as you get deeper. But yeah, that's and I mean, Pitfall famously did this. That's how you could fit 255 or 256 screens. Is they basically had a little like random number that they would iterate back, and you can move it forward or you can move it backward, and that's how you can kind of get the scenes. So. But you can get with a very tiny amount of data, you can create a whole lot of content.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. You keep talking like this, I feel like a blonde in a dinner date. I'm just going to start twirling my hair and blinking and keep showing you my cleavage because I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm going to laugh at your jokes, and I hope you pay for my lobster. So we'll quit talking about Dragon's Descent because we're here to talk about your new game, Dragon's Havoc. But do you have a favorite maze number? Like, do you like 6210 or something like that?
I need to jump through. I haven't explored in a little while. I mean, honestly, I tested so much on 1-1 that's kind of like the canonical one. That like that one, because I was testing on that, I can actually play more or less blindfolded, at least to level 8. But yeah, I need to jump through and try, and I've explore a couple because there are some really weird ones. Some that are actually kind of pretty darn hard out the gate, but
oh, that's cool.
Well,
if you ever that would be an interesting thing for our website, Atari 7800 Forever. If you ever came up with like the top 5 developer mazes. That would be kind of a nice article, and just say, hey, I like this one because it is. And that'd be something for people to horse around with your game. I think that would people would be interested in that. All right, John, you are the master of Dragon Havoc, and
Well.
I suck at this game. It was kind of neat. It was like you liked Keystone Capers a lot, and Dragon's Havoc, and I shaded myself towards Attack of the Pesci robots, and I won because I got all these swag from Twin Galaxies last month, which I kicked a lot of ass. But anyway, you really took the Dragon's Havoc. So before we do the long play video of you kicking the crap out of Todd's game, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how you can't like Dragon's Havoc. That game, you did an incredible job with that game.
It's
Todd.
too hard. That's why I don't like it.
It's perfectly balanced. My fear was it was going to be too easy, but that's definitely not the case. You programmed something that I think is really special on the 7800. I mean, you had Plutos and Sirius, and those were good, for the time and stuff. But I think the 7800 really needed a game like Dragon's Havoc. And yeah, I mean, I've completed it twice now, and I'm excited to have you kind of watch what I did, and maybe.
Well, let me jump in here real quick. So I haven't beaten it because I suck at shoot 'em ups, especially ones where you just can't be sloppy, and that's a very meticulous shoot 'em up. And I'm busting your balls a little bit. It is a very good game. I don't want people to think, I'm just busting because he's better than me. He almost beat my tower toppler world record last week, and I was about to drive up to Ohio and ram his head through the sheetrock up there. But anyway, he said this was one of the best endings for any 7800 game too. So that's another one that I think is really cool. He said it was better than Dragon's Descent. Dragon's Descent was a really good one. So I think that's and you mercifully made it to where you could continue.
Yeah.
You can power through. And I generally don't like games where you can. I mean, if I make a game, I don't want people to sleepwalk, play it, beat it in a half hour, and then they'll forget about it. I try not to make them merciless. I try to hopefully have the first couple levels you can kind of get through. But again, I want if ideally I'd like my challenge level to be 80s montage challenge level. Yep. Where you put on like an upbeat 80s track in the background and you get a little bit better each time. It cuts to like you and your friend looking and like, oh, that's how you do it kind of thing. And, Dragon's Descent kind of similar way where, people are like, this is hard. And I'm like, you've been playing it 15 minutes. Like,
you nailed that too. The last, 2 levels of that game, if I didn't cut down the footage, the video would have been about 2.5 hours of me failing over and over and getting a little further and a little further. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
I mean, God. It's a game that even after beating it once, I still had a lot to learn. And you're right. It felt like a montage, like, pushing it to the limit, getting a little further every time I played
the best
it. Yep.
in town.
That's when I finally beat it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I actually held it back a little bit. I know when I was playing through and kind of like continue spamming, trying to make sure that it was beatable. The default Atari 7800 joystick. I mean, it's better than a lot. Yeah, better than a lot of the era, which isn't saying a whole lot. But they call it the pain line for a reason. So after about an hour and a half, I was like, okay, I need to just dial it back just a little bit, just to save my wrist and hopefully the wrists of anybody who plays this game. Again, it's still hopefully it's not a pushover by any means, but that was the design of the joystick did figure in a little bit.
Well, that's great. What are you beating it with, Silverback? What do you use?
I had a pad that's similar to like an NES pad. It's Retro Game Boys put this out a while ago, so this is what I used.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't like the Genesis gimmick for the shoot-'em-ups?
I mean, I do, but I like that one a little better. Okay. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing it on the pain line, like you said, but you put that into consideration when you made the game.
I try to play on at least default hardware. It's something that if somebody had, I don't want to expect people to, even though, I mean, a lot of people have adapters, and it's probably easier to find one of those and a Genesis controller than an original Pro line. But, I kind of like to, the conceit is that it would be a game that would have come out during the 7800's lifetime. And so, so it should simply support the
Right.
Pro line, pain line for all its
I got it.
benefits and faults.
Well, I'll tell you something. That's a great controller for Bob's Bentley Bears Crystal Quest, because you have to chord the buttons when you jump. And I think that's probably the one game that the pro lines are very good for.
I disagree.
I hate your guts. What are you talking about?
I
I
recorded a video trying to beat Bentley Bears Crystal Quest on this, and it was horrible.
What's wrong with you? Is there something wrong?
I can't. As a kid, I could use that controller. I did great at asteroids and everything, but as an adult, I can't do it.
You're getting soft.
I'm getting soft. I'm weak.
It's better than the Intellivision or the ColecoVision. It doesn't have a keypad stuff on it. I'm not a fan of the whatever 640, the original Atari one. It feels stiff to me, but yeah, something like I grew up. Honestly, I grew up with D-pads, but the Pro Line works great for about an hour, and then spikes go through your wrists.
Right.
Like you're like, this is fine. Okay, I gotta stop.
That's right. Yeah.
It's something else. I had a friend over. I got a house guest. He's helping me. We're finishing a couple movies. We make movies here, so and they're not pornographic. Anybody can watch them in church. Maybe not church, but anyway, we got this double. He came over here, and he was like, "Oh, I want to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles," and we got the double fight stick. Dude, after about 30 seconds of me going pap 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 pap, because the Ninja Turtles are. It's just. Yeah. I felt carpal tunnel like going up through my bicep and I was like, what is happening, dude? So yeah, that is a very unique thing. Before we get to the thing, I wanted to show what I got from Atari today. Sorry, Todd. But we'll get back to you here. This is interesting to me. So last year at Atari, you could have been a sucker like a lot of people. They had 10 Atari 2600 games that you could line up. If you bought all 10 of them,
oh no,
you could line it up and it would say Atari 50.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
Yes.
$1,000. Yep.
These are $100 a piece. It would have cost $1,000 to get Crystal Castles, to get Asteroids, to get Missile Command. Are you kidding me? But I got a deal where I only had to pay $50, and I wanted one. And I was on an Atari Gravatar thing last year with the Atari 50th collection. It's too hard of a game. I learned after all this that the guys who even designed this had to cheat to beat it and test it. They couldn't even play it. But this thing came with a pretty good box, and it's got like right here, it's got that Fuji that sticks out. So it's got a nice
embossed.
Yeah, that's the word. I'm sorry, I went to public high school. Got a manual. It's it's burgundy. It looks like the old one. Comes with a little stand that you can put the gimmick on. And if you got a denim jacket, there's a Gravatar patch. Not bad.
Yeah.
I do like the Gravatar graphics and the artwork, the concept art. There's a pin that comes with it for your denim jacket of the ship.
Oh, yeah.
The main event, though, is the cart with the alternative graphics. And you see at the top, it says Gravatar. And if you put it in and play it, it lights up orange.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So that's fancy. That is fancy. But that is $50 I'll never see again. But I'm not getting I'm not getting the other 9. But I thought people would like to see that, because a lot of people probably was like, who in the hell is going to pay $100 for that? Okay. We're not talking about that crap anymore. We got my favorite dragon of the two.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. They may unify. The ice dragon.
How do you know?
You told me.
Oh, yeah, I told you. Okay.
I can't figure
spoiler.
it out. Yes, They may put aside the differences to defeat the Harpies. So, without further ado, John, do you want to preface this and we'll watch this as you guys talk about it?
Yeah. So here we have the Dragon's Havoc long play that I managed to play and beat. Took me about, like I said, 2 hours, I think. For all of your sanity, I've narrowed it down to about 40 minutes. So you don't have to watch me die over and over and over and over.
Thank you for that.
Right. But I got to say, there was not a single moment that I wasn't having fun playing it. Like, yeah, you die a lot and you get a little further, but I was having a great time the whole time. I mean, the game is an amazing game. It's an amazing work, and I can't wait to get your reaction on as we play it. Maybe get a little bit of information about the game.
Wonderful. Glad to hear it. You're never sure,
Right.
Well, this is if you wait through, I put the very first thing that powers on. If you let it idle, it goes to the instructions.
Right.
And I have that be the very first thing that happens when you power on the console, mainly because the first couple of streamers didn't get the main mechanic. They just held down the button and were wondering why they were losing.
Oh, okay.
So it was.
Yeah, it was. I noticed if I wouldn't have touched a button, the directions come up. So that was because it was too hard.
No, it wasn't intuitive. Like, people need to be told. I mean, I saw just a couple people like streaming, like playing for 3 minutes. They're going through like 20 other games, and this is one of them. And again, it'd be like just somebody cold playing Pac-Man. Never played Pac-Man before. Didn't know what Pac-Man was. Not realizing the Energizers allowed you to eat ghosts. And they're like, they would play through and say, "I can't eat ghosts. Why do the ghosts keep killing me? This game is dumb," and then quit. And then so I'm like, okay, I need to at least do what I can to tell people. You can't just hold down the button. You gotta be accurate, which gets harder because the more accurate you are, the faster you are, which means it's more likely that you're going to miss, which means to slow you back down.
Right.
It's a mess. And John, you're kind of sucking here, bud, on the first level. I thought you'd be a little bit.
I suck through the whole thing. You think I'm great at these games, but I'm not.
I like this. This kind of looks like what Sentinel should have looked like. It's got parallax scrolling. It's got these backgrounds. And I think, did I review this game for the website or did you?
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
So I think this game, the graphics get better as it goes too. And I think that it's fine here, but I think later on it's like, wow, this is a really cool looking world.
Well, Todd, you implied some great effects, especially for one of the later boss battles, and as you get further in the game, are you getting closer to that city in the background? Is that the idea?
Yeah, the idea is, there's kind of ruins and stuff, and then that you kind of get, they're scattered throughout, but the idea is that you're going toward this, like, one of the bigger ones that, there's, and again, nobody knows, the ruins are there, dragons don't really care about these things, but what amounts to the plot is, like, a couple did go into one of the larger ones, and this is what kind of the kerfuffle's about. So
what's the story of these two dragons? Are they brothers? Are they, what's happening with the storms and the embers, guys?
There's kind of, there's an elemental motif. Yeah, there's, with embers being like, fire and stone, and fire and earth, and storms being, wind and sea. And so there's kind of the, mechanically there's a whole lot of a difference, but the idea is that they represent kind of these elemental forces of nature. And you don't want to take off a giant fire or a hurricane. So that's kind of what they adopt themselves. And as we come up, we'll find, a lot of dragons seem to like titles. We're going to probably find in just a minute that the first dragon monarch you meet has his own little title. And there's a bit of a theme going through it. I don't know if you caught on. I played a little fast and loose with the terminology, but there's 7 main dragons. And spoiler, a little surprise at the end.
Yep.
What does that mean then? There's 7 dragons, so what does that signify?
7 of a lot of things. I often will use 7 just if I need a number for things. That even Dragon's Descent, I kind of made 7 levels. Like, you beat the boss at the 7th level.
That's right.
So here, was the idea always to have like the 3 stages intermixed? So you're always outside at first, then you go through a cavern, and then a boss battle. Was that?
Yeah, that tended to work out okay. And again, each one, I'm using a little technical trick. It'd be hard to kind of do it all at once, but I could have a nice parallax, pretty stage without any real obstacles, but a lot of enemies. Oops. Then an internal one that doesn't have a scrolling background, but I can put in blocks that you have to dodge and weave around, and then kind of pull out all the stops for like a single screen, large scale sprite dragon that as a boss with kind of a vanguard of critters helping him.
I like that. It kind of, the way that you set this up to where it's outside, then inside maze, and then boss battle, it was easy to it felt like you were always moving towards something, like you weren't lost somewhere. So Dragon of Venom.
Yep, Zillia, Dragon of Venom.
I'm
I'm
gonna
trying
write
to look
this
for
down.
yeah.
I'm trying to see what the correlation is here. If we're
Well, see, if you get the list, there's a couple of names that might come up. But yeah, again, I play a little fast and loose. The actual names themselves, I use as either kind of like some Greek or very old ancient words, often for the term. I think Zillia is Greek for venom or poison. But
oh, okay.
Yeah, see, you're smarter than us. See, this is the
Yeah,
problem.
thanks.
This is why we're not having a good time, and I apologize. I like the graphics of this one here. You got the sky upside down here. The clouds are kind of.
You got the rocks moving at different
Yeah,
speeds. It looks great.
I like the colors of this one too.
This was fun. I took a photo of a sunset. I used a photo of a sunset originally for the color palette, but when I used it exactly, it was a little bit too gray, and it actually honestly looked like a Commodore 64 game. So I made it a little more saturated, a little bit brighter. Which again, like Atari Rainbow bands is a look. That let's if you're not going to have bright, if you're not going to have giant bright rainbow colors on an Atari system, what are you doing?
Exactly. Well, and look at, I mean, there's no flicker, and so anybody who's like a Nintendo fan, suck on this. This is,
right.
this is so much better than what the NES could have done with this game.
Did you make this out of 7800 BASIC?
Yes.
Wow.
That's actually, yeah. I mean, it's. I'm honestly kind of amazed, but it's a wonderful tool, and that kind of. If I were doing this in assembly, I'd still be fiddling around trying to make a box move across the screen. This was. I mean, people could say, "Oh, you can do more with the assembly. You can do, make it faster, make it do more things." For this, it's good. It's the right tool for the right job.
Oh, it looks great.
See, I think Bob DeCrescenzo of Pac-Man Plus still uses it, and I know like Muddy Funster I think uses the newer, and so it's interesting that there's different applications because it's like I said, I make videos and movies and stuff, and sometimes I use Mac and sometimes I use PC, and it's just what you're doing.
Yeah,
sometimes is or it's like playing different basses on different songs or something like that. It's just a different flavor.
Assembly is like. If IKEA furniture, if you get somebody under basic is like a build it yourself couch, assembly is like here's a block of wood and an axe, and like you could make a better couch with it, but it'll take a long time, and you're obviously more likely going to have a big mess if you don't know what you're doing.
Oop, a little dark in here. This is where the teenagers go to make out the teenage harpies.
Exactly.
Yeah, the harpies. I mean, I like how you introduce the enemies. They get a little bit harder. I mean, that's kind of what everybody goes for, but the harpies gave me a hard time for a little bit. And I thought after I mastered the harpies, I had the game beat, but you had you have one enemy I can't stand in this game.
I used that particular enemy very sparingly. And, and that's something even in Dragon's Descent it comes up. That's something people take a long time to figure out is. I mean, if you're really on top of things, you can kind of fight everything and try to fight every battle, but running away or kind of just not, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor.
That's what I had to learn. That was the hardest part, was trying not to kill everything on the screen.
Well, that's probably why people who don't like this game, and I'm sure there's some that they're just not patient enough to understand this is a defensive shoot 'em up. This isn't just a game where you get 90,000 power-ups and side ships and the bullets are flying across the screen. It's almost like a pugilist game in a way. You got to take your shots.
I have a question too. With the hitbox for your character, it feels like you were pretty generous with that. Was that on purpose or?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of these things. Again, if the hitbox works in your favor, I have never gotten a complaint that the hitbox was
no, you won't hear me complain. No.
Again, if the hitbox is too big, or it feels like you got hit and you really didn't, I'm gonna get angry letters. If a bullet probably should have hit you, but then you get by, you're like, okay, that's fine. I clearly am a badass and dodged that bullet.
Yeah. The Matrix. We did the Matrix moves on it. So the harpies are. Here we go. Let's
Lenorm, Dragon of Frenzy.
See, I'm not going to get any of this frenzy. Now I'm thinking about robots.
Now I think I did all this in one playthrough. I'll tell you where I started dying a lot, and we'll see.
This dragon looks a little sickly, like he needs some, I don't know, like some insulin or something.
Hey, it looks like an iguana I had once that I forgot I owned for a month.
And then he wound up as a belt.
Yeah.
So you've got a new game coming out called Harpy's Curse. And so is this a bad guy that's turned good? Is that what the
if the setting's kind of shared, I mean, they're all monstrous. Nobody generally thinks of dragons as the good guys. Although if you ask a dragon, though, they're saying they're just doing what they're doing. So yeah, it's I mean, it is. It's yeah. A lot of games where you either play a human or you play something that's someone or something that's overtly heroic. But this one, treating like creatures, maybe selfish creatures or maybe self-interested creatures, but
just animals.
But I think it's just something that I kind of like to do is make kind of protagonists that are a little bit outside of the norm.
So does the Harpy ever have to fight one of these dragons that we've fallen in love with over the years? Like, does the Harpy have to take on the dragon of embers or anything?
That's as light spoiler coming up. It's going to be in a level or a couple levels. The ones that I more or less use the same type of behavior code and ported it in because I needed something that was a bit of a challenge. Harpies, what you're doing in Harpy's Curse. A lot of it's about maze, but it's about exploring and stuff. The enemies are there; they can kind of pose a challenge, but there wasn't like a oh no moment yet. And then I was realized, oh wait, I have a good oh no kind of enemy I can kind of. I already have from one of my previous games.
That's cool. Yeah, I always thought it would be cool to play when I was a kid, like be a stormtrooper in the 90s they came out with that type of thing, and that was always a blast to kind of be the bad guys for once. Even though you're saying these are not morally these are all morally ambiguous creatures or whatever.
Yeah, it's more. This is like, maybe there's David Attenborough's like narrating what's going on here because it's like a nature special.
That's a good
Where
one.
we see the Dragon of Storms.
it's on PBS.
Yeah.
Ooh, velvety. This is even more sexy than the last one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That was the NES can do a lot of things the 1700 can't, but something that even the 2600 and the 1700 have is a really amazing color palette that nobody ever really, I think, had a more color depth until 16-bit era, and you miss it if you're doing other systems.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, these levels, the cavern levels, almost remind me of like Link 2 or Metroid kind of tile pattern. Is that kind of what you were going for, or
a little bit here? It was one of these things. I think, I was kind of some levels I think work better than others, and some definitely look I think work out aesthetically better than others. But yeah, this one I wanted like a rocky, rocky background and stuff. Actually, a little bit of these. I kind of after the fact realized this looked a lot like some Mega Man levels.
oh yeah,
so like the construction theme levels have these kind of nice little rock patterns that.
I will say this: the ornate decorations that you put into Dragon's Descent in this game, I always enjoyed those, and they're, every once in a while you don't overdo them, so you don't get sick of them, and then you just go, oh look, it's a Triceratops head, or whatever. It's really kind of sweet.
So I just have a callback. Again, one of these things where I didn't have a whole lot of space, so I kind of had to be very selective, but I kind of made sure that, I had little, these designs that would come back and remind you, have a nice consistency through.
So could this game have been done back in 89, 90? Is this?
Yeah, I think it could have.
Yeah.
I'm not actually doing anything particularly. This is on stock. This is a 48K ROM. This was like their stock ROM size.
Oh, wow.
Even like,
That's amazing.
I could even convince the bean counters if I had a time machine to 1984, 86. I could probably,
I've often fantasized about going back to Atari with all these homebrews and being like,
yeah,
hey fellows, do you want to really give them a run, or what are we doing here?
I'm sure Jack would have went crazy.
He probably would have went, that's too much money.
Yeah, that's way too much.
The future is computers.
I had to edit there. No, I had to edit because I died on this guy so many damn times.
What is he, a lion?
He's Lamia, the dragon
of fangs.
of fangs. That's right. Um,
Thanks.
it's because of them harpies that come above and below you. I mean, this is a tough battle.
This is the each. I mean, I made each one different, and even their patterns are subtly different. And yeah, that can make them real jerks. Weirdly, I found a couple of patterns in the later bosses. I'll point out the one that actually I still have the most trouble with because I kind of got a routine down. When I was doing things like testing the ending, I played the last bosses a lot more than the previous ones, so I kind of had a pattern. And again, like it's harder when they move up and down like this, but just going through and getting really close, you can just cut loose.
This guy needs a mint. He's up in your Kool-Aid a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
I found out a lot of times in these 7800 games that the bosses, the levels sometimes are not, or the levels are out of whack, or sometimes you go deeper and the bosses are easier.
Yeah,
and like even with Muddy Funster's excellent EXO, I figured the boss battles do not. They don't get harder as you go. I felt like some of the later ones were even easier, and I felt like the main boss was the easiest boss of the entire run. So, which is fine for me because I suck at these games and I always like winning at the end. But
well, that
I always find that this game I didn't get very much further than this, but I did feel like, hey, here's those things again.
Yeah, this game doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, it feels
if
like
you were worried about
tougher.
that, don't be. It gets harder.
Yeah. You've done very well so far, by the way. I was busting your balls earlier, but you're doing good.
Well, I spent about, I think, 10 minutes on that last boss.
Yeah, that was a deal breaker.
This is where it starts picking up. I think this is like even the demo, the first demo I released ended around here, and I kind of wanted to, give a little taste about like, this is, you're not going to sleepwalk through all the game. Like,
this looks rough.
You can kind of hide in the corner.
I ran away like a sissy.
You can do that. That's valid, and especially if you don't want to, if firing and missing is one of the worst things you can do. Yep. So like, don't take a shot unless you're sure you're going to hit.
It's like a test that penalizes you for guessing.
Yeah, when you get like this, when you can't hardly move, this game it's brutal. It's brutal.
I bet people are griping about that.
I
can't see the video here. What is that in the background? Is that a city on like a plateau or a mesa?
Yeah,
that's what we're heading towards, right?
Okay.
Yeah, kind of the floating city. And this one, I was playing with things. This is something like the color palette here, the fire. Again, something like the NES wouldn't have this color depth. And like seeing it in person on a CRT, it not quite 16-bit, but it looks it's a deeper depth.
This level is gorgeous. I love what you did with the white and the blue. Oh
yes, looks regal.
I even think I mentioned this in the review. Once you get to about here, this game is beautiful.
Looks like an inner city prom.
That's another thing. Like on the CRT, it looks like you have a filter. Like it looks fine on a digital display. But when I try to test out, I have a 12-inch Emerson television.
Hey, quit bragging about that 12-inch over there. Good grief, keep it down. Yeah, you're kind of being a jerk here, Mr. Revontuli, with these.
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah, that's brutal through there.
Just each room.
Yeah, this looks cool.
It's awesome. It looks incredible.
When you're about halfway through the game, so you should start getting the hang of things. I feel like I've earned the right to throw a couple curveballs on people who are like, I got the game. I got to level 4. I can.
Well, I remember that was my fear. Was
that's
the
a
game
new thing.
Yeah, those things become a major part later in the game.
Walls.
My fear was this game was going to be too easy. I honestly thought, man, I'm flying through these first 4 levels. The first time I played, not this time.
Just to make you feel good.
Yeah, but no.
Are there any? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are there
No.
any? Can you right through there? Are there any secret holes up or down? Looks like maybe like a little Mario thing. Like you could maybe warp one way or the other.
No secrets like that. There are cheat codes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'm not going to say what they are, to everybody just yet. I know there's a couple of like high score. I also made it so if you do put in a cheat code, it should make it so that you're not allowed to input your name on the high score menu. Just so.
Look at that. That's smart.
But that said, there's a couple of cheat codes. I might private message you guys about some stuff. Might help with things.
That's nice.
So what is that?
This is a big hint.
Yeah, this is cool with the background flashing and stuff.
He's the dragon of what?
Wrath.
Yep. Oh, Deadly Sins? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Got one.
Yeah.
So I barely skated through this boss battle, I remember.
This one, like, again, even if you're slow, if you kind of keep moving, I mean, you can dance around it, and he kind of stays in front of you. He'll home in on you, which actually makes things a little easier. The harder bosses I found, once you're used to things, like, are the ones that will just move up and down regardless of where you are. So you have to come to meet them. You have to.
I mean, the only thing I could do in this battle was try not to get hit and maybe hit him once every few minutes, I guess. I'm sure this isn't what you intended.
Sometimes I've gotten cases where I get stuck like this. Then you get a couple of things where if you get close to them, you can usually fill up the meter pretty quickly. And even if you have a 2 or 3 or 4 dots, you move a lot faster.
Yep.
Like it starts, and it can cascade. Once you get halfway, it's easier to fill up the meter. But then if you start a run of misses, you slow down real fast.
Well, the problem with me is the acceleration throws me off. Then I'm used to going like a turtle, and then all of a sudden I'm the hare and I'm flying. Crap.
Once you lose a life, it seems like you lose, 6 lives right in a row.
Exactly. A lot of bad stuff can happen at once.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the other like kind of last thing. Once you're at the point where if you get hit with the shield, even you slow back down, but that's when you run. That's when you're like you have a couple seconds of grace time.
Ooh, look at this.
Yeah, this is really cool too.
We're inside of something, I think.
It's like a crystal, kind of a crystalline cave.
I feel
again, this is like the palette. You could maybe get something that kind of looks like this on the NES, but again, the
I don't remember.
For all the Atari, the 2600 shortcomings, it had 120 colors you could access, and the NES says about 50, 60 maybe. Like that's one reason there's a lot of sunsets in Atari games. You can make really good sunsets.
I think the best ending on the system was a sunset on Fatal Run.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That part there was difficult too, with the 4 harpies and the I don't know the name of the other guy, the little stationary turret.
Yeah, the kind of the guards. I think,
the Janus guards, eh?
yeah.
Like the two-headed. Yeah.
I remember on my
guys.
Dragon's Descent review, I said you can't spell Janus without anus. I hated those guys.
Yeah.
I finally got a design that didn't make them look like bread or steak. So
I called them the floating bread too, I think.
I got them into a kind of something that looked more like a mask, and then got a nice little devil or oni or dragon face.
Well, that's a cool little thing there. You got a little you got some defense for the bad guys.
I appreciate those because you could build up your meter real fast with that thing.
That's true. It goes both ways, don't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have many originally power-ups, but then when you see those later in the game, I think when you start seeing those blocks, you're like, okay, oh thank goodness I can fill up my meter on these things.
That's a neat little twist here halfway through.
Until the end. Then when you see those, you're I have nightmares of those blocks after.
No idea what you're talking about. The Harpies are kind of your 9 to 5 just like jerk enemies. Like they're the ones that you're like shaking your fist at most of the time.
Yeah.
The birds are the Harpies, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now here is this. No, this ain't it. Okay. This reminds me of Metroid right here. Them kind of
I like that.
Triangle blocks there. It reminds me of
looks like Prince's house.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, the purple and green. Yeah, doing kind of a crystalline, just different kind of block motif going on. And the other little subtle curveball, the those guys, I call the gargoyles and the skulls that move up and down are 3 shots, and you're used to double tapping. You suddenly have to go. You have to keep in mind, like, oh right, I need your rhythm. You need to change your rhythm up.
Yeah, but John did good right there, where he went down and made sure he leveled up his shield. I would have just stayed in the middle.
Well, I like to stay in the narrow passages, but you can't, because I feel safer there for some reason. But you can't do that later.
Well, you got a scramble type thing going on here now, where you can take a wrong turn on a maze and get splatted.
And again, that's part of the element of just playing through it and getting a little further, getting yourself stuck. And
yeah, there's a kind of a neat, the common knowledge is like what's a shoot 'em up without power ups. But there's been a lot of good games where you kind of make your own power ups. I mean, the Ikaruga, the game where you're changing black to white, kind of put a lot of that on the map.
Excellent game.
Yeah, and again, that was like there's no power ups, but it's an amazing, and challenging shmup.
I used to play that all the time.
And there's a little bit of just the idea of here that like you're always powering up and powering down. Like that's always a consideration. It isn't. I mean, one of the frustrations in games where you get like a lot of like Gradius and R-Type is you get a ton of power ups, you go doing great, and then suddenly you lose them all, and then you're suddenly okay. Wait, I'm stranded. I might as well just quit the game because
Yeah.
Right.
Was that always the plan to have like a upgrade system like this?
This was an early mechanic. I just had an idea way back when, and it just needed to find a good opportunity to do it.
Was that this
guy actually gives me more trouble than the later bosses.
Oh, really?
The way the patterning is, his vanguard, the other skull guys.
Yeah.
It looks and the kind awesome. Of fact he doesn't really home in on you, so you kind of have to meet him.
Yep.
The other ones I can kind of, troll into moving into my shots. This guy's a little trickier about that.
Yeah, he does.
This guy's more like the dragon from Ninja Golf. He does his own thing.
Yeah. But this looks incredible, like the lighting flashing and stuff. Are you just using different background elements, or how do you do that?
Yeah, it's actually
cool looking. That looks like we're at the bottom of an aquarium or something.
A bit of maybe a little bit of moon control too.
Yeah.
Dig it.
I mean, but yeah, at least that's almost a lot of start. Is just it's really easy to take a color palette and then change one color. So you can take like I could take this background and just make everything black really quickly and easily. And that's like fading in. That's something else I miss. Is like the Atari can do good fading ins because it has. You can't use many colors at once, but it has a lot of colors to choose from. So you can ramps from pitch black. That's a subtle thing in Dragon's Descent.
This looks hand drawn. That's what's amazing about this.
It looks
really
great.
Cool looking.
Oh, thank you. This was
how
one of the things I kept this as one of the last levels as a little bit of a treat.
Yep.
It's like Nintendo on that Super Odyssey game where like this looks like almost a totally different game. Like I would keep getting jacked up thinking I want to hit these reefs in the middle of the screen, and they're in the background. Never mind. Really good. That's really cool.
This guy right here.
Yeah, those are I call them dragons, but yeah, they're resemblance to the kind of dragon from Dragon's Descent, the kind of winged snake.
You will never see me shoot one of those because I cannot get the pattern down. I don't know how you do it.
I think that's the point.
You can. I'm able to I've taken down a couple.
Yeah.
Occasionally, but then after you got to feel bold. You got to feel a little stupid. Like you got to feel a little reckless because it's often easier to just say no. I'm gonna go ahead, guys.
Hard pass.
But yeah, those are they're the only enemy that besides bosses that take I think 4 shots. So
they take a ton of shots and they move like crazy.
So yeah,
I should have kept in a few edits of me trying to fight those things because you would have got a kick out of it.
So you see, like as a Harpy going to face off against a dragon, I basically put these guys in with very little modification into Harpy's curse, sparingly. Like it's meant to be like oh no moment.
Yep, it definitely is.
This might be a little familiar if you've played Dragon's Descent.
It looks similar.
little bit of a kind of maze-like pattern. Even the color palettes based on the first level you're likely to play.
This is another level. Yeah, it looks cool. I like the
I like this.
the kind of like Tetris pieces.
But I also like I like this maze design too, because it's
Yep.
yeah, it's kind of like you're wide open to pick your fate, basically.
But yeah, this one again,
Ooh.
Now I like going to the upper ones, the tight corridors. That killed me a few times.
I bet. I saw that.
I try to make it so that you can at least see a dead end coming.
Right. That's
but
why,
yeah, it's still, there's definitely, you got to get, you pick a path and you get used to it. And yeah, at this point, this is one of the last levels. Like this is where
right.
you're, if you're able to pass this the first time, if the game's too easy, I mean, honestly, people play it and then forget it. And so,
right.
Man, you were lucky as hell, son. Jeez. Thank God for the invincibility.
All skill. No, it was all luck.
For a little bit, it wasn't a bug. I mean, it was just something I had to balance. But for a little while, like the grace invincibility was in certain situations, you could get into a feedback loop where you had just enough time to fill up your meter again, and you were effectively invincible. And you could almost do that with some bosses, but I made it so that you can't just. It was a point where you could like sleepwalk through it, and
right. No, I think you definitely straddled that line really good, where you have just enough room to sort of maneuver, but it's going to take you about half a dozen tries at least.
Oh, look at this!
You're out.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't throw. There was that.
Yeah. No, it's the next.
Oh,
one.
this is Marbros again.
The Dragon of Greed.
We beat him before.
Based his ugly mug on. I mean, you're looking at it from a profile, but the horns and tusks and stuff are based off of the graphic from Dragon's Descent.
And what's crazy is just that subtle. You're making the again, I forget what their name is. The enemies kind of dance around a little bit. That screwed with me a whole lot.
Janus Guard.
Yeah,
that is insane looking, dude.
Oh,
you're an evil man, Revontuli.
He is.
God Almighty. But this is I don't know if you know this, John, but this is the boss of the Dragon's Descent.
Yep.
Okay.
I actually went through and beat that after this, I think.
Oh wow! Look at this. Looks like a city. Looks like Coruscant.
So I got the feeling this is where we were going the whole game. Like you saw it in the background, and you still kind of see more of it in the background.
I dig it.
Yeah. So this is kind of city ruins. Again, maybe a little bit of Boom Patrol. It wasn't explicit, but again, in retrospect, like, yeah, this looks a lot like a movie.
Yeah.
Well, this probably has the best. God, it's between this and Tower Topper for the best scrolling.
Oh, really?
On the entire system, man. It's a very awesome.
I really like the scrolling on here. I think I was the only one on the forums going, "Oh my God, scrolling!" I was so amazed by this.
This was fun. It's one of those things that the 700. It's that particular, just the way it's made makes this. I mean, a relatively easy. Like it's much harder to do on the NES. Something like this. Just the way it's built. Like the NES has other advantages and stuff, but like the way the Atari's made, like it made this. When I kind of figured that out, I'm like, wait, I could do some really fun stuff with this. And so yeah, the scrolling background was kind of the kernel that made me decide. Oh, then, and I have this like old neat shmup mechanic I kind of want to try doing, and then it all kind of fell into place.
Oh wow.
But yeah, now I kind of I've thrown everything at you.
You're throwing everything.
Yeah, this is you got this far, you gotta earn it.
You gotta want it, honey.
And again, there's you compose it, you make rhythms, you get you get moments to relax, even like a longer once waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then you have oh no moments.
Yep.
Well, you just had a moment there that was like a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not here though.
Well, that's because that's going to lead up to this, which is I mean the dragon enemies are nasty enough on their own, but when they got friends, that's
Oh, it becomes near impossible.
So you're using the
Look at this.
Nintendo Entertainment. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So you're using the Nintendo Entertainment Pad for this game, right? That's what you.
Yeah. I don't even think I tried the Pro line on this, but I want to give it a shot now.
It's possible, but again, like
this level here,
yeah.
Oh
I mean,
my God.
at least I tip you off early on what the level's going to be about.
Yep, you did. But you almost was the intention, like as you're shooting the enemies, you have a stray shot, you might get an idea where the hole is in the wall.
Yeah, that kind of
Okay.
like you got to be, again, in this case, you kind of do need to know that you're going to miss. So you got to be sparing, but then when you get bubbles coming up in seconds,
right here.
Yeah, you got to be like, oh, there's one. Oh, like.
Yep.
Yeah, it's diabolical.
It's
Well,
nuts.
This is I'm like, this is the last level. How do I really somebody's like, oh, I'm the last level. I got it. I'm in the hang of this. I'll just avoid these guys.
I died on this part probably more than any other part of the game.
I can tell.
It's really neat seeing, like, again, like with the long play, kind of seeing what
That's
kind of
really-
a playthrough looks like.
That's a really cool switch. I like, especially
Here I got lost.
Well, yeah, you can.
But I like when 7800 games have different. It seems like a lot of the original releases, they lose the ability to come up with new stuff. Like Akari Warriors gets really rudimentary. Midnight Mutants too.
Yeah.
The more it's like, oh, this is a great game, and as you go, it gets kind of worse. I like when games kind of do the reverse here on this system. Very good job, Todd.
Thank you. No, this is again like something where you're never quite sure if it's going to come together, and
Right.
yeah, and it's great to see. Yeah, like, did I pace it out right? Did I, did I put all the cool stuff up front? Did I hide all the, all the really cool stuff behind, places where people never get to? And
this game's a head trip too. You think you're about to die, you take 2 or 3 shots, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm okay."
Yeah, no, the shield was relatively late. And it used to be just double damage or a double score, and then
really?
But then there was that wasn't a good enough incentive besides the speed. But the shield just gave you that little edge. I think.
Well, this game's all about defeating it.
What is it? S?
Glory.
Yosphorus.
I like this. This kind of reminds me of like a griffin almost, or it has a lion head, right?
Yeah.
Or a newborn baby.
Yeah.
As a friend of mine was testing it, dubbed him Little Lord Fauntleroy, and now I'm never going to let that down.
I think this was the toughest boss for me, which makes sense because it's the last boss, quote unquote.
7, it's again 7 Deadly Sins. Again, I changed out a couple things because I mean, Dragon of Gluttony, Dragon of Fangs is a little more edgy than Gluttony.
Yeah. Okay. So it was
glory instead of pride, because you're not like.
Okay.
Even though with like Lionhead pride, but yeah,
so it's the 7 Deadly Sins. Okay.
Yeah, I figured that out in World 4, John.
Did you?
Yeah, so when it was rad.
Let's see.
But you can get things here where like you unloaded a good like half dozen shots and.
Yep.
Ooh, you got him.
Beat the game. Oh wait.
Oh my God! Did you? Look at this crap.
Look at this guy.
First time you saw this, were you like, "Oh, blankety blank"?
Yeah.
Yeah. You let out a harpy. You let out a harpy's curse.
Yeah. This is cruel and unusual, right here.
Well, he doesn't look that rough.
No, he ain't. I mean, you could have been a lot meaner with this boss, and I think you probably should have been. Really.
I think well, if you get this far, he helms in on you, so you can kind of.
But he is a wall. He is kind of a wall. You can't really go past him.
You can't.
That's his gimmick.
And he's the only one who has dragons as his vanguard, as his buddies.
Yep.
So those are.
Now you got him. Good job.
Got him.
Looks like a pile of intestines.
Here's spoiler alert.
Oh, they're gonna have sex.
Yep.
Okay. Dig it. They turn green. Turn green.
Gold. Ain't it gold?
Well, the desert turned green.
The Dragon of Thorns.
So yeah, they're all kind of, each of the dragons is 2 of the 4 elements, but then you combine them. I decided to do like life, kind of combining all of it, and then kind of having a plant motif, but Dragon of Thorns again sounds a little more. It has a bit more of an edge than like Dragon of Plants, Dragon of Leaves.
That's a pretty terrible score, man. Are you
Yeah,
embarrassed by that?
a little bit.
So does this go through the cast of characters like Dragon's Descent or no?
No,
I have like 38 or 38 bytes left. I had no space beyond this ending, so I would have if I could have.
It still was a good ending. I like that.
Yeah, I liked them combining. It was a good reward. It kind of make you felt like you did something. You know,
it also made you feel like there's a story coming up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, good job, John, on defeating that game. I think that's one of the harder games on the system. And good job, Revontuli, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You made
so you got Harpy's Curse coming up. You got anything else in this universe that we should know about, or is
like Harpy's Curse again? I'm trying making a Metroidvania, which again, Midnight Mutants, notwithstanding, like not really, not many on the 1700. Playing with don't really have a good title yet. I don't think I'm playing around, but making a platformer, because even in this era, platformers everywhere, but the 1700 has Scrapyard Dog and Crystal Quest, which is great, but Nintendo. If I made a platform for the NES, I mean, that's throw it on the pile. There's hundreds, and honestly some pretty good ones. So it's like it's going to be hard for me to kind of get in the ring against like Super Mario Brothers 3, but again, 1700. I think I've playing with that. Again, still kind of in the early part of that platformer. But I have a couple ideas.
So Harpy's Quest, that's done, right? You've completed that?
I have like the thing this happened apparently with the original Zelda. I have a full game. You can download the ROM and kind of play around with it, but I have a whole bunch of space left, and so I'm making a whole second quest to it.
Oh wow.
That you can kind of figure out and find. And again, fine-tuning some stuff. I'm trying to test out. I have there's a password system, but then I want to see if I can get the save system on there, so you can save games.
Awesome.
You have a save key and stuff. So that'll take some testing, but you can play a good chunk of it if you look on the forums now.
But it'll be available at PRG, right? PRG.
That's what I'm shooting for, and should be able to play a good chunk of it at the very least. And I'm going to try to get everything that I can. We're talking with Al to get the print materials and stuff ready, which always takes time. But that's
I do appreciate you guys keep putting it. The United States is this huge country, and we keep putting the PRG in the upper. I live all the way on the other side. I'm an East Coast guy. It's like, good God, I got to fly out to Oregon and start a grunge band or something to get paid my way back. But man, thank you for being here, and I'm always going to be Team Storms.
Yep.
So if we ever have a volleyball or super dodgeball or something, I'm on the blue team. But man, great game, and you should be very proud. And thank you for making all these guys, but you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for making stuff that's fun to look at and weirds our friends out. My friends always come in here and they're like, "What is this shit? What? They make what? They still make this?" And it's just a lot of fun.
To anybody that's interested, all three of these games, Atari Age, they're awesome.
Dragon's Cash, Dragon's Descent, and Dragon's Havoc. And we're very unfortunate that the fourth game, Dragon's Drunken Fiasco through downtown Pittsburgh, that was shelved because it was just too out there. But
John, before it's time.
Yeah. John, you got anything from my man over here?
Yeah, no, thanks for being on. Thanks for answering our questions, and God, thanks for the awesome games.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you all for playing. This has been great. Like love the 1700 Forever site. It's always whenever I release something, I'm like, okay, what are they going to say about this one? But it's also a great resource. Yeah, you have every game. Like it's a wonderful resource, and it's honestly it's a pleasure to watch. Again, watch someone play through. Like you often make this stuff and you send it out, and you're like, is anybody even paying attention? And it's wonderful to watch.
As an artist, I release stuff all the time. Oh God, we had people commenting this whole time. I didn't even see it. anyway, we were just a jerk. So anyway, sorry guys. But anyway, yeah, as an artist, I've released a movie that is like got a 9.4. It's critically, nobody's seen it. And then another one of my movies is everybody watches it and it's not as good as the other one and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. Sometimes you don't have control over these things, and you're just like,
Exactly.
you're just like, golly, man. I hope people enjoy it. I know I can tell you this. We're telling tales out of school. John really liked this game a lot. In fact, he was just like, oh my god. And again, I'm having a hard time with it, so I'm just like, I'm going to put this over here next to Cracked. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll tell you, I was a big fan of Dragon's Descent. You'll never. It's one of my top 10, probably 7,800 games. So
thank you. Now that's and what that was my kind of one of my other little goals is I was trying a couple of different genres. So if you don't like one in the trilogy, you probably will like the others. Yeah. If you don't like shmups, you like try a puzzler.
And Dragon's Cash was good. I remember I bought a Columns.
That's a beautiful game too.
I bought a Columns game from an auction one time, and my wife was pregnant. The only time she ever did this, she said, "Where are you going to put these?" I bought Street Fighter 2 in Columns, and she was pregnant, and she said, "Where are you going to put those?" I said, "Well, in the back." She goes, "Those aren't coming in my house." So I had to leave Street Fighter 2 on the front porch next to Columns. Well, the weather caused Columns to catch fire one day on my front porch, and I lived in a wooden house. And every time we went out at night or anytime, there was always like 6 or 7 neighborhood kids asking if we had change for $1. So we had to take the Street Fighter 2 machine off the front porch. But anyway, I've always had a soft spot for Columns after it almost burned my house down once. But anyway, man, thank you so much for staying with us. And it's a little over, and I know you probably got things to do, but man, it's great stuff.
Blast. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much,
brother. Take care. And
you guys too.
We'll see you around. All right. Well, Atarians are not good at goodbyes, I don't think. But man, it was I thought you had a 40-minute playthrough of a shoot 'em up. I was like, this is going to put me to sleep, but it was actually pretty interesting.
Well, it's a great. I mean, that's again Revontuli. He made a great game. It's fun to watch. I mean, try playing it.
I tried. I can't get it. I mean, I like it. I mean, I kind of bust your balls over it because you don't like one of the games that I like the whole lot. So we're kind of busting each other's balls over that. But I do like it. And I do like the thing that I love the most is that you've got this universe that this guy was like, I'm going to make a trilogy of 3 random genres.
Right.
And now he's got a 4th. And if he has a 5th you got a little Janus bread running around, he can make it like a children's game. The Janus guard bread. He's got to go find his butter, or whatever, and he could jump around, jumping over Harpy.
Get buttered, huh?
Yeah.
I
didn't realize that was supposed to be a mask. I always called it a loaf of bread. Oh, the loaf of bread's shooting at me. The loaf of bread's turned bad.
I don't know where he came up with the idea for a puzzle game, adventure game, and a shooter game, but I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, I am too, and I think he's into dragons. I mean, I think Revontuli. I don't know if he's in a. If you look at his eyes, he looks like a dragon.
He might be a dragon.
He might have dragon's blood.
I mean, think he's a dragon.
He's got them. A lot of the Atari guys, like Bob, is a sweetheart, right? Like Bob looks like he'd give you a hug. If you went to like a place downtown in the seedy part of town, and you knock on the door and you have a password, and you got Revontuli's eyes, you'd be like, oh shit, I better bring my A game. He's got them piercing out of the eyebrows. It's like there's a motherfucking dragon man in there. I got to watch out. Well, anyway, so if you're watching this, and again, I'm sorry to Pack Billy and Jesse and everybody else that was watching, and we ignored you. But anyway, we're gonna review Bob DeCrescenzo's 40th Pac-Man gimmick coming up, and we want to say thanks to Todd. And thank you for doing this. This was last minute, and I think it was all right. And you came through with this playthrough thing. This Jesus God, look, hey, what is it? The police? Are we in trouble?
I'm getting busted.
We're showing freaking unauthorized Atari games or something.
I didn't get Revontuli's expressed permission beforehand.
That mother effer called the cops on us.
Yeah, he kept me here on purpose.
I like Vlad Zaninga's games better anyway. He's gonna put us in jail. No, but anyway.
No.
All right, man. It was good.
Yep.
I'm gonna go entertain my house guest. Todd, if you're still watching or whatever you see this, man, thank you so much for the games and everybody, all you guys, all you cats that make these games. They're a lot of fun. You guys, god dang. I mean, seriously, when's the last time you played a really bad Atari 7800 homebrew? It's been a long time.
Oh yeah, it's been a real long
right?
time. I mean,
right? There's one you've played that you don't like, but we're not going to say that.
No,
Anyway.
I like them all.
Do you like them all?
Even
the new one you got?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to you guys later, man. See you.
All right.